attached to agar, and I'm going to be showing you 4 different lines, and I'm going to be telling you the postural and the movement function of each of the 4 lines. So the first one we'll talk about is the superficial front line. The superficial front line goes from all the way from the toes all the way up, goes to the middle of the body, up, and all the way behind the ears. So the postural function of the front line is to balance the superficial back line and also maintain postural extension. The movements of the superficial front line is to create flexion of the trunk and hip, extension at knee, and dorsiflexion of foot. Now the next line is the superficial back line. The superficial back line goes from all the way from the heels, all the way up, the back, all the way onto the neck, around, and all the way to the forehead. So the postural function of the superficial back line is support body in upright extension to prevent from curling over into flexion. So it keeps you doing this rather than doing that. The movement of the superficial back line is to create extension and hyperextension. The next line we'll talk about is the lateral line. The lateral line goes all the way from the foot up the side of the body, then does a crisscross kind of shape, then up onto the side of the head. So the postural function of the lateral line is to balance front and back lines, mediates forces among the other superficial lines. The movement of the lateral line is lateral flexion of trunk, abduction of hip, eversion of foot, and it stops lateral and rotation movements at the trunk. Now the last line we're going to be talking about is the spiral line. Now I seem to think the spiral line is the most important line, and after I explain it, you'll understand why. The spiral line goes all the way from the foot, does an X in the middle of the body on each side, and then it goes around to the posterior side of the body, goes up, and then it goes over the head as well. So the reason why the spiral line is the most important is because it connects to every single line in the body. So therefore, if the spiral line, something happens to the spiral line, it affects all the other lines. So the postural function of the spiral line is to maintain balance across all planes. The movement function of the spiral line is to create spiral and rotation in the body. Now those are all 4 of your lines in your body: the superficial front line, superficial back line, lateral line, and spiral line.